George and Weezy in the land of Lincoln will have deferred compensation and wonder if they can retire in mid-2026 or even earlier. Will they have enough? Should Jenn in Ohio move with work, take a break, or just retire? She asks Joe and Big Al for a brutally honest spitball. Seth isn't sure if he can afford to stay retired at age 52 and whether he should convert his retirement savings to Roth, so he uses an AI voice to ask the fellas for his spitball. Today on Your Money, Your Wealth podcast number 538. And Leon uses his real voice to ask whether REIT ETFs are a good way to get into real estate investing. I'm executive producer Andy Last, and when I asked Joe Anderson CFP and Big Al Clopine CPA when we were recording the podcast this week, Al replied that he was on a train to Venice and that we would indeed record next week. So, until Big Al returns from his extended European vacation, enjoy an encore presentation of these questions from an October 2024 episode of Your Money, Your Wealth podcast in reverse order, so you'll catch things you may have missed the first time around.
We got George and Louise. They're calling in from the land of Lincoln. No pets. Land of Lincoln. All
Nebraska.
Right. Yeah. Or is that Chicago or like Illinois? Is it Abraham Lincoln or Lincoln, Nebraska?
Well, I guess it could be either.
The land of Lincoln.
It could be Illinois.
Aaron and I vote Illinois.
Could be.
The land of, all right, okay. They got no pets. Only a high school junior still at home. $165,000 saved in that 529 plan. What did you do? Did you put money in a 529 plan or your cash flow? I remember you're all stressed out.
Yeah, I did put some in, but not enough. Yeah, so I cash flowed it.
University of Colorado was just
that
sucking you dry.
That was a killer. Yeah.
Oh, boy. Okay.
Yep.
Actually, I just checked the email. You're right. It's Illinois.
Oh, yes.
Land of Lincoln. Okay.
Land of Lincoln.
Okay, there you go.
See,
you're right.
I like my American history.
Really? That's the first time I've heard you say that.
I drive an S5 series in Weezy. So that's George and Weezy from Jefferson's.
Land of Lincoln.
Land of Lincoln. Was what does Weezy have? She's got a VW Atlas. I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
All right. They're both paid for. Weezy doesn't drink, but my preferred. What does he drink? A
Hoegaarden. Actually, he says it's pronounced Hoegaarden.
A cold Hoegaarden.
Hoegaarden.
That's a Belgian white bitter and de-emphasizes hops is unfiltered. By the way, it's pronounced Hoegaarden. No, I should have just.
There we go.
If I would have just did a little bit of prep today.
A little bit of prep.
Yeah. All right, so here's a VW Atlas. It's an SUV.
Cool.
And here's the Hoegaarden.
Hoegaarden.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
Okay. Wanted a spitball analysis as to my ability to retire of June 30th, 2026 or earlier. No defined benefit pensions for either of us. Weezy would continue to work to access healthcare benefits for the family costing $400 a month. Her income is fairly limited. I have a non-qualified deferred compensation plan that will pay out over a 10-year installment. Starting January 2027, assume the June 30, 2026 retirement date. Current balance is $1.8 million. An expected balance will be about $2.2 million with my proposed retirement. Trustee HP12C, all right, Big Al and I, that's what we use.
There you go.
Says that it's $220,000 per year. I also expect a 3-year long-term incentive trail of $60,000 a year in 27, 28, 29. All right, you doing the math there, Big Al?
Yep, looking pretty good.
All right, my IRA is 1.2 million. Weezy's is 1.1, all non-Roth. My 401k is a 1.1 million, of which only 50,000 is Roth. So a lot of deferred monies here.
Yep.
Contributions have all been pre-tax, given the household income is $600,000 to $700,000 the last couple of years, and expect at least $500K to retirement. Taxable brokerage account is $880,000, of which $240,000 is in a government money market fund. Personal residence is valued at $1 million, with a $300,000 mortgage at 6%. Thinking we will clear the deck on the mortgage at retirement. Desired retirement spending, ex-mortgage, is $15,000 a month in today's dollars. Health savings account balance is $65,000 and have cash value life insurance of about $140,000. All right. You got a lot of stuff going on here, George. Let's get to the question.
Yeah,
Can I retire? All right. You'll probably answer is yes.
I think so.
Social Security calculator reflects monthly benefits of $3,600 for me, 48 at age 70 for Weezy. It's 2,000 and then 25 at 70. We appreciate the levity the team brings to each podcast. Okay.
All right. So let me recap here a little bit.
Yeah, please.
So we've got 4.3 million in assets.
Okay. Most of it deferred.
Yeah, most of it
50,000 in a Roth.
And that's without the non-qualified deferred comp plan, which I'll get to in a second. Now they want to spend 180. If we just take those two numbers, 180 divided by 4.3, we get a 4.2 distribution rate, which 57, 56, 57, if there was nothing else going on, it might be just a little bit rich, but pretty close.
Sure.
Pretty close, yep. But now you look at the deferred comp plan, 10 installments starting in January. So basically what that means is probably about $220,000 per year for 10 years. Okay, so there's no reason to dip into any of the savings, so that can just grow, right?
So all of his assets will grow. Weezy's going to work. She's going to pay the health care.
Yeah, she'll pay the health care, and then
the deferred comp plan is going to pay for their living expenses over the next 10 years.
That's right. And plus they got an extra $60K a year for 3 years.
Yeah, a little kicker.
Yeah, a little for vacation money or whatever fun stuff you want to do. So I guess what I'm thinking is if you don't touch the 4.3 million for 10 years,
that's 9.
Could be 8, 9 million. Will that cover your spending? I don't see how it wouldn't. And that's even before Social Security. So yeah,
I mean, that's the basic easy stuff. I mean, what other items? Do you think George and Weezy really thought that they couldn't do it, or is there?
Well, that's what they asked.
Well, they want to know if they can retire by 2026 or earlier.
Yeah, you can retire earlier. Because the deferred comp plan is going to cover your monthly expenses over the next 10 years. And if Weezy continues to work just to pay the health care, you're golden.
Yeah.
But the issue is that most of this is all, again, in a deferred account.
100%.
And then you got 10 years of $200,000 of income that you're still going to be in a high tax bracket.
Yep.
So then the question is, okay, well, how do I get diversified from a tax perspective, and how much pain is it going to be to do it? Because he's going to have to convert in high rates, because he's going to be in higher rates probably in the future, depending on what that IRA grows to.
Yeah. And so the way I would think about that is when he retires, that's when you start doing big Roth conversions.
He should retire tomorrow.
Good. No reason not to. Right. Yeah. Now the deferred comp will be, let's say if maybe it's 180,000 a year, which still covers his expenses. So yeah, he could definitely retire earlier. Yeah. I think I have so that's one thing is tax problem in the future. The second thing that I would just have George and Weezy take a look at is when you make 600,000 or 700,000 per year, and do you really only spend 180?
There's no way.
Just be careful on what you're really spending, because I bet you it's more than that. So just take a look at that.
How old are they?
57, 56.
57, 56. How much do you think? Well, let's say if they make $700,000 a year, state of Illinois, that's probably that's a high tax rate.
Yeah.
So they're probably paying 2 plus FICA, 250, 300,000.
Yeah. Let's call it. Yeah.
250.
Probably 250. Yeah. So let's split the difference. So 650, 250, so 400 net. They're probably saving 100-ish. So they got 300. And you're really only spending 180? Maybe, but I just be careful on that, because how many times have we seen people come into our office and say, "Yeah, I only spend 40 grand a year," and
this is how we can tell. So in the non-qualified deferred comp plan, so he's got $1.8 million there. So
right.
Is that company funded, or did he fund that? In most cases, he funded.
He probably funded.
Yep. So I don't know what percentage of his income that he funded there, but to get 1.8 at 56, 57, he probably put a pretty good chunk of money there.
Yeah. So if
then you look at what do they have outside of retirement accounts? It looks like most of it is pre-tax.
Most of it's pre-tax. They have 880,000.
Okay,
Yeah.
$880,000 outside of retirement accounts. So their spending is a little bit high. Let's say if he didn't have the deferred comp plan and he only had retirement accounts and he only had I'm saying only, and I just feel like a jackass by saying that. But given what percentage of non-qualified dollars that he has compared to his qualified dollars,
Right.
you could see that the spending might be a little bit high,
Yeah.
but I don't know what he put in the deferred comp plan, if that is company funded or if that's him funding, which
Right.
I think he probably fund a majority of that.
Yeah, I would say so too. So if he put in, let's just say 75K a year or even 100, then I think the numbers probably work out right to where the spending is appropriate.
Right.
But I
Like 700 over the last 10 years. Let's say they made that amount of money. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, well, $7 million came into the household.
right.
7 million.
Yeah.
How much of that went to tax? Well, he went to deferred comp, so he got tax savings there.
That's right. Right.
401ks, all pre-tax.
Tax savings. Yep. So maybe we're high on the taxes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
yeah,
it's just worth a look.
right. Because if you're 57, you're going to retire still in your 50s. That's super young for retirement.
Mhm.
What are you going to do when you retire? They're going to go on African safaris every other week.
Yeah, it's anyway, that's yeah. So it works. This works well. So you got a tax problem, check your spending, and then we don't really talk about this much, but what are you going to do? We'll go back to the hard charger. George, you're probably a hard charger.
Just like Big Al.
What are you going to do, right? I mean that's as important as the financial part.
Oh yeah, in some cases more.
More, right?
All right, you got $10 million and you're just miserable.
Yeah, right. You feel depressed.
Oh my God,
I got no worth, no reason to get up in the morning.
Yeah, I want another Hummenbog.
Well, let me
Who garden?
Whatever the hell it's called.
the Hogarth.
Homenbog? I like
Yeah.
that.
Honey, give me another 12-pack of Whole Garden.
Oh my!
It's Monday morning.
So you open up your bank, and your investment accounts in the morning, and you look at it, you go, oh, that's great, and then 2 minutes later, oh, now what?
Now what? Did I spend some of it? No, I don't want to spend any of it.
I know it's too tight.
All right. Well, congratulations. Good luck. Thanks for the email.
All right, pop quiz. Are you required to take minimum distributions from your Roth account? Test your retirement knowledge this week on the Your Money, Your Wealth TV show as Joe and Big Al give you a retirement pop quiz. 18 questions to get you ready to retire. With each question, the fellas have actions you'll want to take now to secure your future retirement. Watch Retirement Pop Quiz on Your Money, Your Wealth TV. Use our online pop quiz to test yourself and see how ready you really are for retirement, and download the free Retirement Readiness Guide. It'll show you how to control your taxes in retirement, create income to last a lifetime, make the most of your retirement investing strategy, and much more. Click or tap the links in the episode description to get started.
All right, let's move on to Ohio. We got Jenn. She writes in. She's asking for a little bit of a Spitball company office closing. Within 6 months, I'm allowed to move out of state, but given daughter in high school, I may take some years off or retire altogether. Currently 55. Given that, I'm checking to see my overall early retirement options. Spouse stays at home, no Social Security. I'm planning on taking mine at 70 if it exists. Oh, Jenn. So company office is closing within 6 months, and I'm allowed to move out of the state.
So I guess they have offices outside of her.
But it's closing. Who cares?
No, just
Allowed.
Just that office.
No, just that office is how I read that.
Okay. All right. Let's see what Jen's got here. She's got. Wow. We got Richie Riches here today.
This is the rich person show.
We got $2.1 million in a brokerage account, $1.7 million in a rollover IRA, $1.3 million, including $280,000 in a Roth in current 401k, $1.1 million in Roth conversion IRA, $80,000 in an HSA, and $750 in a 529 plan for the two kids, 16 and 19.
So if we're keeping track, Joe, we got about 6.2 million of liquid assets.
Yep. Okay. And she's going to say, I spend $40,000 a year. Can I retire? Ballpark expenses pre-tax. All right. 180 to 200. in addition, would like to give the kids from ages 22 to 32 $30,000 for them to cover and fund their respective IRAs in case Uncle Sam changes their mind on inheritance on retirement. Be brutal and honest. May consider part-time out-of-state work once the youngest is out of high school. Cars or 6-year-old Lexus and a 4-year-old Acura. Acura. Oh my God. SUV. No pets. Diet Pepsi and occasional beers are the faves. Love to hear your spitball and see if I'm in the ballpark or way off base. Yeah, you're on first, second, third base here, hon. You're good.
Just to put a little math to this show, spending $200,000 on a 6.2 million portfolio, 3.2 distribution rate. That's before Social Security. Maybe that's at the high end of her spending, right? Yep. I'm okay with that. I mean, anyone that has $6 million, I think you can make it work.
I think you're all right.
I mean, let's just say, Jen, it feels a little bit tight after a year or two. Then go down to spending 170. You'll still have a great life.
Yeah. At 55, okay, someone at 55 that has accumulated this much money, and her husband doesn't work. I wonder, was he always a stay-at-home dad, or did he make a lot of money and then he retired?
I'm guessing that, or
I'm guessing she made all of this money. Maybe there could have been a little bit of an inheritance, but there's a lot of money here. Especially with the amount of money in retirement accounts.
I know, right? Unless that was inherited, but that seems
rollover IRA and the 401k and a Roth conversion. Yeah, I don't think so.
It doesn't seem like it.
So she's jamming a ton of money away. Mm-hmm. So Jen's 55 and they got $6 million.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she was a hard charger.
Yeah, I have to.
I'm guessing that she made quite a bit of dollars and she probably wants to take a couple of years off, but I don't know.
Yeah. She didn't really talk about her husband here, so I'm guessing you're right.
It says husband doesn't work.
Where does it say that?
Spouse stays at home.
Stays at home.
No Social Security.
No Social Security. Oh, no Social Security. I guess he's never had work history.
I guess so.
He's got a spousal. He's got a spousal.
He does.
Yeah, it could take half of Jen's.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, Jen, you're fine. And
I guarantee Jen's not going to be sitting around.
No.
She's going to go back to work. She's going to start a business. She's going to probably do something.
Of course she is. Hard charger at 55, I got to tell you. I want to retire at what? 48?
You tried to.
And here I am. It's because, you know what? When you're a hard charger and you got lots of energy, you want to keep
So
going.
are you calling yourself a hard charger?
Yes. I am. Because
is that like, are you giving yourself a little compliment there?
Let me pat myself on the back. Yes.
You and Jen are just like two peas in a pod. You've got a big wallet. I feel just like Jen.
I feel like I know Jen.
You have a little AI machine calling us, Andy?
Yep. At first, it seems like it might be a human that's actually calling in for a spitball, but if you pay attention, you can kind of tell that it's an AI voice. So this is our first time. This is the first one we've gotten.
I mean, do you play with AI?
I have a couple of times, but it's obvious. I've seen a lot of the videos on YouTube that are, faceless YouTube videos that have an AI voice on them. This definitely sounds like it's one. Tell me what you think.
Wasn't there like an AI song?
Well, yes, I made an AI song for you guys. That one, you couldn't really tell so much that it was AI.
Got it.
Yeah, okay.
So here we go.
Hey, Joe, Al, and Andy. This is Seth from Montana. Thanks for the entertaining and thought-provoking podcast. I have a spitball analysis for you, please. My wife and I are both 52 and have mostly stopped working as of this summer, but wanted to make sure we were on the right path or if we needed to pick back up some more assignments. I also have a question for you on Roth conversions. Our assets are as follows. $500K in our brokerage account, $2,040,000 in after-tax LP real estate investments, $310K in my traditional solo 401K account, $740K in my wife's traditional solo 401K account, $80K in my wife's Roth solo account, none in mine, $13K in a HSA, $45K in cash and short-term T-bills. House is worth about $725K, no mortgage. Our Social Security estimates with $0 future earned income shows $28K annually for me at 67, or about $20K if I filed at age 62. Social Security estimates for my wife also with zero future earned income shows $35K annually at age 67, or $25K for her at age 62. We would like to spend $150K annually and would like to die with zero. Anything remaining we will have left for charities. Are we on track to be able to not continue working? Also, I have a feeling I know what Joe will say, but what are your guys' thoughts on us doing Roth conversions in our solo accounts? Last year, our marginal tax rate was 24% and our effective rate was 18%. If so, any thoughts on the best way to structure these? I drive an F-150 and my wife drives a Cadillac XT5 SUV. Drinks of choice are vodka sodas in the summer or Woodford on cold winter nights. A glass of Cabernet is always good too. Okay, I gotta get going to head back out to scout for more elk. Thanks for the spitball.
Huh. Where's he from? Montana.
Montana. So he's out scouting for elk and using AI to send in voice requests.
I don't know. That sounded like a real person.
Yeah,
You
it did.
think?
Yeah, from kind of fast and high, and then it went lower.
Well, I think he was getting excited about talking about his assets. Yeah, I was like concentrating on the AI aspect, and I
Yeah.
didn't even listen to the question.
Well, I like the fact that it says, in my traditional solo 401k account. In my wife's traditional solo 401k account. The
I don't know.
The wording sounded a
well,
little weird.
Well, maybe he
Let me summarize for you. So he and his wife are both 52.
52 wants to retire.
Yeah, they just retired. They mostly stopped working as of this summer. They've got about $3.6 million total. $2 million of that is in a after-tax LP real estate investment.
What is it? What is the real estate cash flow?
Doesn't say. Yeah, and the rest is brokerage. Well, brokerage and 401k and a little bit of Roth. So anyway, they want to spend about $150,000. So the first thing we do right off the bat is we take $150,000, we divide it into their investments of $3.6 million, and we get a 4.2% distribution rate, which for 252-year-olds is I would say a fairly aggressive rate.
Yeah, there's a lot of caveats here, Seth. I mean, you got $2 million in this after-tax LP real estate investments, but we don't know what the cash return is.
We don't. Sometimes they're great. Lately, they haven't been as good because interest rates have gone up, and most of the loans on commercial real estate are variable. So there's been lower cash flow. I mean, a lot of them have been 5% and 6%, right? Or some cases more. Lately, they've been. I've heard of some making 3 or 4%, some not making any distributions at all. So, yeah, there's a lot we don't know. So I'm just taking the spending versus the assets to come up with a distribution rate. And right off the bat, warning signals go up. That's a fairly high distribution rate in your early 50s.
So, but he's telling me that he's in the 24% tax bracket. Was he retired last year? So if he was in the 24% tax bracket, I mean, that's a few $100,000 of income that has to be peeled off of either the real estate or.
Yeah. No, he said they have mostly stopped working as of this summer.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So last year was, I guess, a full year, and this year might be a half year working, maybe. I don't know. Hard to say.
Well, a couple comments is that you built a really good nest egg at 52, $3+ million. So congratulations there. I agree with Alan that a 4% burn rate on the assets, we're assuming that they're all liquid when you look at a 4% rule, but
Yeah,
$2
right.
million,
Most of it.
80% of his net worth is not liquid. So we need to understand what the cash flow is on the real estate investments to determine, what is the additional need of income, if any, coming from the other liquid assets.
Yeah.
Then from there, what tax bracket that you're in to determine what conversion strategy is going to make sense.
Yeah, probably the better way to think about this is you take your $150,000 spending and then you subtract out your real estate income. Right. And then you come up with a shortfall and you divide that into the other liquid assets to figure out what the real distribution rate is.
Because they got a 10 to 15 year bridge for Social Security.
Right.
That's you're burning out 4.5% plus tax, plus a cost of living.
Right.
At 52?
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I would, it's a little too rich for my blood.
Yeah. So the question, we wanted to make sure we were on the right track or if we needed to pick up some more assignments.
Pick up more assignments.
I think you need some more assignments, Beth, unfortunately.
It's more elk. So whatever.
Whatever. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Seth. That was cool.
You can click or tap Ask Joe and Big Al in the episode description to send in your retirement spitball analysis request like Seth did. But realize, making the most of your entire financial future, especially if you're retiring early, that requires more than just a spitball. When you schedule a free financial assessment and work with one of the experienced professionals on Joe and Big Al's team at Pure Financial Advisors, they'll take a deeper dive than you get on the YMYW podcast, with the goal of optimizing your entire financial life and helping you craft the retirement you deserve. Book your free financial assessment in person at one of our nationwide offices or online from the comfort of your own home, no matter where you are. Either way, just click or tap the free financial assessment link in the episode description or call 888-994-6257 to get started. The Pure team will work with you to create a detailed plan customized to your retirement needs and goals. Now let's get back to the voice messages.
Hey Joe, Big Al, Andy, hope you're all doing well. This is Leon from Chicago. I have to admit this is my third time calling in with a question or a spitball or commentary, I suppose. But, while I guess I should apologize for taking advantage, I'm also a value-based investor, and this seems like a pretty high-value proposition. So hoping you'll answer another sort of spitball for me and lay it out for Joe in a different way this time, since he has to get in the mind of his callers. I thought I would lay it out for him this way. Let's imagine that Leon, myself, runs into Joe and Big Al in a bar. We're sipping old fashions, just having a bar stool conversation about what they do for a living. And I said, hey, if you put your guys in the position of being an early 40s investor, planning to retire in your early 60s, let's say you have like $1 million portfolio at this point, and you're a guy that looks at yourself as maybe a 70-30 stocks to bonds ratio, and you don't want to be a direct real estate investor. Speaking for myself, I want to be in the real estate game, but I don't want to be a direct manager of a property. How would you suggest that this individual would invest in, say, REIT ETFs? Anything that you guys could offer as a spitball to sort of say, is this like something I should maybe integrate 5-10% of my portfolio slowly over time? Should it be heavier weighted than that? Just wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on that. Really appreciate it. Love the podcast. Love all the YouTube stuff you guys put out there. And I don't know how Al does it. I've heard about the walking up and down the stairs in his house. I think my wife would look at me really strangely if I did that. So I'm getting my 20,000 steps a day by just going out in the neighborhood, whether it's hot, cold, raining, snowing, whatever. And that works for me. Love the show. Thanks for everything you do.
All right, Leon.
Yes.
Hanging out.
By the way, I run up and down the stairs
with no shoes on, like socks.
Yeah, and secondly,
your boxers or something.
Yeah, and I didn't start that till my 50s, and at that point, your wife just doesn't care. She just throws up her hands.
I could just see it. I mean, you don't have like a huge tall staircase.
Well, it's 15 steps.
And you live in San Diego, so it's not like you have to do it because it's snowing outside like it might be in Chicago.
Don't live in Chicago like Leon.
Yeah.
You live in Southern California, San Diego.
Yeah, but, sometimes it's dark or whatever.
Got it. Okay, we're having a couple cocktails here with Leon.
Yeah.
He's thinking about, real estate. I want to get a little bit of that.
Yeah, I want to get in the game. I don't want to be a property manager.
Yeah.
I don't want to find the properties. I don't want to have to sell them. I don't want to have to take care of the toilets that are overflowing.
Yep.
I get it.
Yeah, you've been a real estate investor for quite some time.
I have. And I did that all for many years, Joe. And eventually I got property managers, and then you have to manage the property managers. And then I got tired of that. And I sold a lot of the real estate. I still have a little bit.
So you would rather go REIT now
at my current age?
Yes.
Well, I do have REITs, and I do have a couple single family homes. So I have a little of both.
Got it.
I like the REITs, the REIT ETFs, real estate investment trusts, ETFs, because they're easy to get into. They're daily liquidity. You can get out if you want to.
Let's talk about the different ways that you could probably invest in real estate.
Yeah, I like that. So right off the bat, he already mentioned owning real estate. That's the kind of the first thing you think of. And most people start with a single family home or a condo because they don't have the funds to be able to buy a commercial property. So that's one way to do it. But I get it. You don't necessarily want to be a property manager. Although, if you really do want to get into real estate, I highly recommend that approach because you learn it really well. You learn what works, what doesn't work, and I think you can actually make a lot of money in real estate because
you can also lose your ass.
Yes, you can, and both of those are true because of leverage, because you're using the bank's money, and so if the property goes up, it's all yours. If the property goes down, it's all yours. So that's the tricky part of that. But after that, the easiest way is probably the REITs, real estate investment trust ETFs, with daily liquidity. That's a good way to go. You can do REITs that are non-liquid, non-traded, which in some ways could be a little bit better because there's not flows in and out, and so the managers of the fund don't necessarily have to have a certain amount of money for liquidity, right? Right, for people that want distributions and all that stuff. So
yeah, you got traded REITs, you got non-traded REITs, and there's pros and cons to each of them.
Right, right.
You just have to really understand what you're getting with a non-traded REIT because there could be sometimes there could be a lack of transparency.
Right.
And they might look at a certain cap rate or cash on cash, or is that return on capital, or is that really the return on the investment? So there are some really good REITs on traded or non-traded.
Yep.
So, but non-traded, you just have to hold on to that investment for a little bit longer.
Yeah.
And so there's a liquidity issue there. So you should get a higher expected rate of return because you don't have that daily liquidity.
Yeah, yeah. Then you can do tenant in common.
Oh yeah, why don't you do that? Now you're getting hardcore.
Yeah, well, and what that is that's just there'll be a general manager that finds the property and manages it or hires managers, basically runs the operation and then tries to get investment capital. And maybe you own 1%, right, of this building or whatever the percentage is, but you don't necessarily do anything. You don't have any control over it, but you do have real estate ownership, and they do generally. The ones I've seen, Joe, are usually 50%-ish loan to equity. So in other words, a $10 million property might have $5 million of debt. So you do get additional return as long as properties go up in value.
Sure.
Because of leverage, you also can lose more quickly because if properties go down. So just be aware of that.
But a DST.
DST, Delaware Statutory Trust, that's another way to go. In some ways, maybe that's even a little bit better because now you own a fractional interest of a pool of properties instead of a single property. So if I were so inclined, I might think about that. But in the case of tenants in common or Delaware Statutory Trust, there's a lot of fees. And in a lot of cases, the promoters, the managers, the organizers are getting a cut of the profits. And so if the property,
they're putting the deal together, they're getting paid.
They're getting paid. Yes. Yeah. So just I guess just be aware of that. And I mean, that's going to be true in even REITs as well. I mean, there's higher fees and stuff like that than maybe a traditional stock ETF.
What amount of real estate should be in the portfolio, percentage wise?
Oh, I don't know. I think 5 or 10 is fine. Yeah, I mean, some people do 100% real estate and they make a lot of money, but you can also lose money, So I don't know. If you haven't invested in real estate, maybe start at 5%, see how you like it.
Yeah. Also, I mean, depends on his home value too. If he lives in a mega mansion, you might be good.
You have real estate already, exposure. Yeah. Although if you're planning to never sell, then it doesn't really count.
Sure. All right, Leon, there's your choices. Probably just go with a low-cost ETF. That's how I. If we're spitballing here, we're not giving advice. Now, remember when we were doing those workshops?
Yeah, that was way back when.
2006, 2007.
Yep.
We're helping people to get rid of their real estate tax efficiently because of the big run-up in the overall market here in Southern California.
Right.
And everyone was like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Why would we do that?
We are never, ever selling our real estate.
Yep.
And then, oops.
Great recession hit. And it might have been a good thing to do.
It could have been. Should have been.
Yep.
But anyway, hindsight's 2020.
Hey, I still have a few Kindle copies of the best of Jonathan Clements' classic columns on money and life, available for free for the YMYW audience. Simply email info@purefinancial.com to get yours, but only if you haven't already. For all the details, check out episode 532, where Big Al and I talk to Jonathan Clements about the inspiring way he's using the remainder of his time with us, getting young people going on savings, and how you can be a part of it. Links in the episode description. Joe and Big Al will be diving into the depths of the voicemail box and the email bag to start getting caught up on the Spitball you've been sending our way while the three of us have been all over the world. Make sure you're subscribed to YMYW in your favorite podcast app or on YouTube and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. And most of all, please tell a friend that we're making fun of finance over here at Your Money, Your Wealth. Presented by Pure Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. This show does not intend to provide personalized investment advice through this podcast and does not represent that the securities or services discussed are suitable for any investor. As rules and regulations change, podcast content may become outdated. Investors are advised not to rely on any information contained in the podcast in the process of making a full and informed investment decision.